100% certified USDA organic. It's the Extended Play Podcast with Ian Tank.
It's the Extended Play Podcast with Ian Tank. We are a music discussion podcast without the hipster snobbery. And today we're going to get real topical for y'all, with a discussion about rap beefs. We'll get real specific about the beef that's it's in the news right now. But I think generally we'll talk about the history a little bit of hip hop beefs and what we think about them. But we'll spend a lot of time talking about the Kendrick Drake thing.
Yeah, which I cannot wait to talk about.
Yeah, it has been so cool to have music and hip hop specifically, and someone like Kendrick Lamar in the news every day in stuff that's not just the music blogs. It's every nightly news and all that kind of shit. It's been really cool that everyone's talking about it.
So I saw a blurb, if you will, statistic yesterday. So Drake's stream numbers are down, but Kendrick's are up 50%.
50%. Holy shit.
So I probably take an overly optimistic view of this, but my prediction is that this becomes a watershed moment in hip hop.
Okay.
That my theory, and I'm not a rapper.
Get out.
No, it's true. I'm not in the game.
No.
So to speak. But my theory is the two camps have coexisted for years. The camp of actual hip hop artists, actual MCs, and then Drake and the Drake
pop rap.
Yeah. That they've coexisted, that this group has always hated this group.
The sort of real hip hop have always hated pop. Yeah.
But it was we're in it together. It's the culture.
Yeah, sure.
I have a feeling there was this uneasy truce.
Okay.
But these guys always maybe resented or just plain old didn't like what's going on here.
Yeah.
But for the greater good, maybe they let it slide.
Sure.
And I think if that wall comes down, these guys, maybe we're going to see more of this.
Oh, you think so?
Yes.
They'll just start coming after.
Because even from a selfish standpoint, if you're a real MC and you've had an ass full of these fucking Travis Scott type, why not go after them? Because you see what it does for Kendrick.
Well, that's true.
From a purely commercial, selfish standpoint.
Yeah.
Why not? It's like, I know I'm going to embarrass him.
Yeah.
And
true.
So wouldn't it be great if this becomes the beginning of the end for shitty, fake hip hop?
So beginning of the end. Do you think, so if Drake's streaming numbers are down, like they go away, like they fade away, or it's just they're less of a focus? Or
I think less of a focus.
How do you picture that? Okay.
Right? Like I think the analogy to country music is there also.
For sure.
Right?
And it's so many things.
Right.
Right.
But like, wouldn't it be great if the Sturgill Simpsons, Jason Isbell's, Tyler Childers supplant the Morgan Wallens?
Yeah. Jason Aldean.
Right. Because then the real country artists replace the pop ones.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if that happened in hip hop?
It would. I mean, it'd be amazing.
If Drake's streaming numbers, number 2 on Spotify, behind Taylor Swift, was instead K. Dot.
Yeah.
Wouldn't music as a whole be better? I think.
Sure.
And a rising tide raising all ships and everything. Because then record companies go out and look for more K. Dots, not more Drakes. Yeah,
and the next generation is inspired by Kendrick Lamar, rather. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that makes a certain amount of sense.
So when you say next generation, that's what has me excited about this. Who do you think it is that's the 50% increase? It's not hip hop fans.
No, that's true, because they've been doing it all along.
Exactly.
Oh, that's really interesting.
So I think this is, again, theory, but makes a lot of logical sense.
Yeah.
The 50% increase are shitty hip hop fans. Travis Scott didn't know Kendrick existed.
Probably not at all.
And they're like, the fuck is this?
Yeah. Right.
And it's like this wake up call, like, whoa.
Right.
What's this?
Yeah.
And I bet it's all new listeners.
It probably is. I mean, I've certainly listened to more Kendrick in the last couple of weeks. Yeah, than I have in a long time.
But I bet from a generational standpoint, I mean, at our age, it's not that surprising that we were already on the Kendrick train, but people college age right now, high school.
Yeah. They're probably not up to it. Right.
But maybe they're catching on now. And
it's fascinating.
You know how capitalism is, whatever's hot and popular, capitalize, push more of it.
Right.
And it'd be great if this tips the scales to that.
It would. And you would be so, okay. But I also wonder, considering the nature of these actual tracks that Kendrick wrote,
Yes.
Okay. And I think we'll get into the specifics of like,
which I have.
Awesome. The order and all that kind of stuff.
I have the entire Wikipedia article about the beef right here.
And I think that thing was like being constantly changed for a few days there.
Go ahead. But then I'll get to the history after your point, just so people can get caught up on it.
I think we got to give that for our listeners who are not sort of in tune with it, or our viewers. Okay. Yeah. You know what? Maybe I'll wait because it has to do with the actual quality of the songs, which is something I want to talk about. Okay. Other than the actual impact and the discussion that's happening and all that stuff, I think it's super important. And I do want to actually get to the music itself.
Okay.
And you know, whatever, if it's a good representative of either of the art. Right. Representation of either of the artists. Okay. But anyway, let's go over the history for everybody.
Yeah. So there's a lot here, and I'll skip over a lot of the minutia. Yeah. But basically, Drake and Kendrick, they were pretty much cool in the early 2010s. Mm-hmm. So they did some features on each other's stuff.
Drake took Kendrick on tour.
Yeah. So there was some collaboration there, but then I'd say they Wikipedia calls 2015 to 2022 the quiet period.
Before the storm, clearly.
Yeah. But they, so not much happened. So I think basically they were kind of tight or okay. Mm-hmm. I think this growing resentment from Kendrick was there.
Yes.
And Drake probably wasn't on his radar because Drake is out doing pop star stuff.
Right. And meanwhile, other people I'm sure you'll get into this. Other people start to come for Drake before Kendrick does. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Actually, no, I'll let you cover that.
Well, the big one is, and I'm going to represent here, these new things we ordered. Believe it or not, I mean, again, Arby's, underrated.
We love Arby's.
And we talked about in the past shows that Pusha T did a couple different, like, non-tongue-in-cheek, like, straight up, like, I love Arby's commercials with, like, solid bars, too. Yeah. Like he's, like, not mailing it in. Anyway, they have merch. And my t-shirt says Pusha T eats Arby's and I eat Arby's. And on the back, I don't know if I can show it on camera. It's fucking incredible.
You can splice it in after.
Yeah, I'll splice it in after.
Yeah.
I'll splice it in after.
But there's
got like a crown with, because he calls himself King Push. So it's got a crown with Push on it. And it's got some of his bars. It's a picture of a sandwich on the back. Pretty incredible.
And since this episode is about beef, this episode brought to you by Arby's.
Sure.
Why not? We're going to
thank you, Arby's, for sponsoring this.
Thank you, Arby's. So you can send me like a voucher for free beef and cheddar.
That's all we want. Crinkle cut fries for him, curly fries for me.
Yeah, because I don't need, again, that's not even fucking fries at this point. And far more in taste.
Right. Anyway, I bring it up because Pusha T, so sort of infamously, and I've seen some takes on this, that Pusha T really changed the game of beef in rap by going after Drake. And he went after him so fucking hard, he revealed the fact that he had a hidden child.
Yeah.
So it's the story of Added On is the name of the song. And basically, apparently people knew, there were rumblings about it, and he decided to out Drake and say, you've got like a 6-year-old kid, you're a deadbeat fucking dad and a loser, which is incredible. That is next level. I've got secrets on you type stuff, because if you back it all the way, hip hop, the origins are, partying over beats and saying how good of a DJ or an MC you are, and how much better you are than the guy down the street who has a DJ set. And so for its entire history, hip hop is all bragging about how good you are and how fucking terrible everybody else is.
Right.
This elevates that to a whole other level, because you had like Big Daddy Kane and like Kumo D hated each other. Or there are all these sort of beefs where they just talk shit about how they're not a good rhymer, basically.
Yeah, it's all above the belt.
Yes,
so to say, in universe.
Yes.
It's in kayfabe. to borrow a wrestling term, it's in kayfabe.
I've seen that term used a lot in this.
Kayfabe?
Yes, in the whole rap beef thing.
Kayfabe, by the way, is in the wrestling world. It's basically canon in wrestling world. The fake part is kayfabe.
Yeah. Okay.
So one wrestler hates another in kayfabe, but when the cameras are off, they go get Arby's together.
Like any reasonable adult would do. Right. Yeah. But anyway, so that'll have implications later on, right? Because Pusha T has planted a seed that Drake is not a good dude.
Yeah.
And it's something that Kendrick picks up with. And Pusha T and Kendrick have been on tracks together. They seem to close. He's mentioned in a couple of these raps. So anyway, yeah.
No, and those points, and there's a few bars in the new tracks that we'll get to that refer to that directly. So most of this you can look up for yourself. I'm sure that most of our viewers listeners are familiar with Google. But it really picks up in October of 23. So J. Cole and Drake. And J. Cole, admittedly, blind spot for me.
Same here.
I've heard he's good.
I know.
He seems like a good dude. He rides a bike.
He played like semi-pro hoops.
Really?
Yeah. Like he's legit good.
But yeah, he like rides his bike around Manhattan or whatever.
Yeah.
Seems like a good dude.
Yeah.
And I know that he's highly thought of. I don't know much about him.
Yeah, I don't
So
either.
I'm going to assume he is good.
Yeah.
But as the poor judgment of hanging out with Drake. But in October 2023, J. Cole suggested himself, Drake, and Lamar were part of the big three greatest rappers in modern hip hop
Right.
on Drake's track First Person Shooter.
Right.
I don't have the exact lyric, but basically the way that they're saying it implies Kendrick's number 3.
Yes.
Right? Like we're 1 and 2
Yes.
and Kendrick's number 3.
And in fact, on the, oh no. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm mixing things up.
So then shortly after that, there's, again, in the vein of normal hip hop beef, Kendrick puts out a song, a diss track. It's like, motherfuck this. I'm not number 3. I'm number 1.
Yeah.
Which you would expect.
Fuck the big three. It's Big Me or
Yeah,
something like
exactly.
that, which is incredible.
So then J. Cole releases 7-Minute Drill, which is going after Kendrick and primarily looking at To Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah.
2 days later, and I just watched the video of this morning.
So incredible.
2 days later, he goes on stage and is like, and have you seen the video of this?
I haven't actually watched the video. I read the transcript of it.
I think it's super sincere.
And humble.
It is.
Yeah.
Bitch, stay humble.
he was humbled for sure.
So I felt conflicted because I'm like, bro, I know I don't really feel no way, but the world want to see blood. I don't know if y'all can feel that, but the world want to see blood. So I say all of that to say, in my spirit of trying to like get this music out, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I moved in a way that I feel spiritually feel bad on me. Like I try to like jab my nigga back and I try to keep it friendly. But at the end of the day, when I listen to it and when it comes out and I see the talk, that shit don't sit right with my spirit. That shit make me feel, that shit disrupts my fucking peace. So what I want to say right here tonight is in the midst of me doing that and in that shit, trying to find a little angle and downplay this nigga's fucking catalog and his greatness, I want to say right now tonight, how many people think Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest motherfuckers to ever touch a fucking microphone?
No, but I think that and again, there's also theories, half joking about this, that he got a call.
Oh, you think so?
That,
you don't want any of this?
Exactly. No, seriously, people were saying that Kendrick respected J. Cole enough.
Okay.
And I mean,
sure.
It's
Okay.
kind of in poor taste, but to say like, don't go to school tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
some shit's going to go down.
Okay, I see.
Like,
Okay.
So his sudden change of heart within 48 hours.
Right.
But basically, I do buy, if there is no conspiracy theory, is what he said, which is, look, this isn't me. I'm not a hateful guy. I listened to what I said.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Let's be better than this.
Yeah.
So a lot of respect for that.
And
Anyway,
he pulled it, right?
Yeah.
Like got rid of it.
down from streaming service, apologized, said, go ahead, take your shot. Here's my chin.
Right.
I deserve it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then a lot of people in our uber machismo society are like, what a bitch. And they're going after J. Cole.
Right.
And now there's a ton of these comments online. Like, I apologize to J. Cole. That's the smartest thing he ever did.
Right. Yeah. Everyone's like, the big winner in all of this is J. Cole
Yes.
by far.
Yes.
Stay the fuck out of it.
Exactly. So 7-Minute Drill comes out and then is immediately kind of pulled back. So Kendrick now releases 2 singles, Push Ups and Tailor Made Freestyle. I'm sorry, Drake does. Sorry.
Yeah. So
now Drake goes directly at Kendrick with Push Ups and Tailor Made Freestyle. It's interesting how these things are coming out in pairs.
Yeah.
So, and even then, it's more or less typical rap beef.
Yeah.
A little more pointed.
There's some like, how can you say you're a big step in when you wear size 7 shoes?
Right.
and
Like,
shit
hey,
like
you're
that.
small.
Right.
Like,
which
a
is typical hip hop shit.
Right. A little more personal,
Yeah.
but still not
Yeah.
necessarily below the belt.
Yeah.
Then Kendrick comes back with Euphoria and 616 in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's a little more pushing, but we haven't gone nuclear yet. This is still basically normal rap beef territory.
Yeah. Euphoria is pretty heavy shit in that.
It's getting there.
Yeah.
It's getting there. But then, so now the next track from Drake
Yeah.
is Family Matters.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have done that.
Yes. He fucking poked the bear.
Because he brings up allegations. I don't know what's true and what's not.
Yeah.
But allegations of basically domestic violence.
From between Kendrick and his partner.
Yeah.
That he's like beating up his partner.
Yep. So he goes there and now the tone has shifted.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's not rap beef. Now it's personal.
Mm-hmm.
It's nasty.
He says like, you call yourself a black messiah and all this shit, but
Yeah. So then now gloves are off and this doesn't go well for Drake. So What's crazy though is that Drake, and this is again conspiracy theories, moles. Drake drops his track "Family Matters" 8 minutes later. Kendrick releases "Meet the Grams," which you could say it's coincidence, but the fact that Drake brings up family,
Yes.
and then the next track is about family.
Well, and there's some bars in these songs about like, I got a mole in your camp. Like
Right.
someone's telling me what songs you're putting. I mean, it's fucking next level fucking CIA shit.
So 8 minutes later, "Meet the Grams" comes out, and "Meet the Grams" is brutal.
It's pretty brutal.
Like I've probably spent, this is why I was so pumped up for this episode, is I've spent maybe 2 or 3 hours in the last few days watching reaction videos.
Oh, I bet those are great. Oh, I should have done that.
But like when
We'll link to some.
Yeah, "Family Matters," 6 seconds in, the first 2 words are "Dear Adonis," which is Drake's son.
Right.
And like all the people listen, like, all right, like they're doing like the typical hip hop, like, all right.
Okay.
And then they go, "Dear Adonis," I go, oh, no. And then he goes through the first verse, and then it's like, "Dear," and it says his mother's name, like "Dear Sandra."
Uh-huh.
Mother's name, father's name, illegitimate daughter's name.
Yeah, he claims that there's an illegitimate daughter out there, which then Drake says that was a plant. Like, I have people in your camp.
Right. But he was getting roasted because the 2 things he said are, you believe all this dumb shit. And also, I have a plant that said that to you. It's like, no, he said, like, you believe these clowns.
Yeah, right.
But then he's like, these are my guys who said it. It's like, wait, so your guys are clowns? Like, it doesn't even make sense.
Make sense. Okay.
So, "Meet the Grams" is pretty bad.
Yeah. So what it alleges a whole lot of shit.
That he has a illegitimate daughter now, in addition to the son.
Right.
A whole lot of pedophile accusations.
Yes.
And not thinly veiled.
No.
Like, not at all.
No.
And then he I think within a day, comes back with "Not Like Us."
What's that? Yeah. But so another thing I want to point out about Meet the Grams is that so it is a letter, essentially like an open letter to Drake's son about what a piece of shit his dad is.
Yes. I mean, that's the thing. It's like,
It's crazy.
like, I'll be your role model because your dad's not.
Right. That part gets a little skeevy. Like I'll take care of you and I'll love you or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, your dad's a piece of shit and Drake's dad is a piece of shit for raising a piece of shit.
Right. Like, you should have wore a condom. Like,
it is out there, man.
Yeah.
It's
And
brutal.
then the last line of, then the last minute or so of "Meet the Grams" is directed at Drake.
Yeah.
His real name Aubrey.
Yeah.
It's like, "Dear Aubrey, blah, blah, blah." And then the last line is, "Fuck a rap battle, you in a lifelong battle with yourself."
Jesus.
So yeah, that happens. And then a day later, "Not Like Us" comes out.
Okay.
Which really doubles down on all of this.
Yeah.
And I think intentionally is a banger.
Yes.
It's a danceable summer hit.
Yes, like that is a hit song.
And I think this is intentional because it's summertime. He knows people are going to be,
they're going to play it at the club
all summer long on the beach
and chanting shit about Drake in the chorus of the song.
Right. So the first, I told you about this right when I heard it. I texted him. I'm like, I can't, but just so fucking clever and brilliant. Because, the pedophile allegations on "Family Matters," he ends the verse of "Not Like Us," the first verse, with trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor. Going into the chorus, that gets played any club all summer long. Everyone's going to go A minor.
Yeah.
Dude, it's going to do damage.
Yeah.
Well, it did damage. So just more of that.
Yeah.
OV
ho.
OV ho. Say OV ho. And then, and again, we'll get into the details of it more, but then Drake releases his response, which the Heart Part 6, which I guess he's trying to take away a future song title that was obvious what Kendrick was going to do.
Yeah.
I just feel bad.
I know.
I'm getting secondhand embarrassment now.
I know.
And the tone of the Heart Part 6 is basically like, nuh-uh.
Right.
It's like, I'm not a pedophile.
Yeah.
No, if I was a pedophile, you would know by now.
Yeah. He's like, I would be arrested. Like, that's like, I think he doth protest too much, right?
Right.
It seems like a little weird.
But it's also, I think, a fascinating study in ego and being surrounded by a bubble.
Yes, man.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Why would he do this?
I know.
And then someone pointed out that they think that the reason that Drake's response, the Heart Part 6 is so bad, it's him.
Oh, that
there are no Ghost Riders.
No more Ghost Riders, which is a huge accusation for years now.
We skipped right over that, but you know, and then the again, the cleverness, the very first thing you hear on Not Like Us is, "Psst, I see dead people." Because he's talking about Ghost Riders.
It's so great. So great.
But that's what, again, the people online are saying is this sucks because this is what you get when he writes the song.
Yeah. Right.
That it was just him.
Right.
And that if anyone in his camp got to him before releasing this, they would have said, don't.
Right.
This is such a weak response.
Yep.
It must have been him doing it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the point that Kendrick didn't come back after that says all you need to know about that.
It's over.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, the best thing Drake could do at this point, and I think regain some respect, just go, dude, I lost.
Yeah.
I got my ass kicked.
Right.
I liked it. Look, I'm not a pedophile. I don't have a secret daughter.
Right.
I'm not going to hear that. But as far as rap battle goes, he's the better man.
Yeah. And the way he treated him getting sold out by Pusha T was to not talk about it. Mm-hmm. He just let it pass and sort of tacitly acknowledged, like, I got nothing. I'm not coming after him. Right. More than likely, that's what he's going to do. He'll just never mention it again.
But I think it's too late.
It is too late.
You can't come back from this.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the Pusha T stuff was not number one on Twitter trending.
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. And it really does seem like Drake is a horrible person. Because, again, I'm not going to go bar for bar, but, I think it's towards the end, Not Like Us. He's like, you lied about this. You lied about this. You lied.
Right.
And it was. Everything's a lie.
Yep.
Plastic surgery and taking Ozempic and everything about your kids. He's a fucking upper middle class acting student who's trying to play gangster.
So let's talk about that. Yeah. I think that's a really thing. And because again, you want to hear this from a couple of white guys, but actually I think from an outsider perspective, it's actually might be useful, especially because we've talked about this in hip hop before and country with gatekeeping. Yeah. Right. And you can't detach hip hop from the black experience. It is, they're one and the same, right? And a lot of what is going on in this beef in particular, and especially Not Like Us, the title alone, is essentially Kendrick saying, I don't want you using the N-word anymore because essentially you're half black, you've got light skin, and you have this you haven't lived the life. Yeah. Okay. And you haven't lived the life, that is an old trope in hip hop beefs too, right? People say again, I think it's the third time we mentioned this on this show, but the whole Eminem 8 Mile, where it's you went to a private school when he's in the battle. So I get that. So from Kendrick's perspective, someone who is outspoken advocate for the rights of black folks, right? And has been seen as sort of like a shining light in sort of illustrating the black experience in America, right? Especially around To Pimp a Butterfly. For him to be like, fuck you, you're not allowed, you haven't lived the life, you are not talking, you're a party rapper, essentially. Yeah. Yeah. And it also sits kind of icky with me, the notion that, because I do think it's one of the things I'm like, why do I feel uncomfortable about this? Because saying you can't come in because of the color of your skin is a weird thing to say. Yeah. But then I'm like, funny though, Eminem, no one's ever said that. No one in the hip hop community has really ever said. Well, they have. They could put Benzino. Oh well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But you know what I mean? Like he was pretty much welcomed in with open arms because the bars are there. Right. Because dude has got skills that are undeniable. Right. I think I have a little more it feels less skeevy to me because Drake shouldn't be let into that group because he can't rap real well. Exactly. Right. Like he does not have the skills that Kendrick does. I agree with you that again, it's not our place to comment necessarily, but I mean, as adults with critical thinking skills, it does seem kind of hypocritical. Yes. I do prefer that he would leave the race or you're only half black part out of it. Yeah. Because it's hard to box that with empowerment for everyone. Yes, absolutely. Agreed. That would have been better. And maybe if you ask Kendrick, he looks back and goes, yeah, that's probably not my strongest stuff. I don't know. But, who knows? But you're right. I think that, well, number one, at least he didn't start it. Right. True. It's not like Drake is just chilling and he goes at him with the track like you're not black enough. Right. So it's slightly forgivable when it's a response. Yes. And it's also, I think you're right. It's like if the bars aren't there, now they're going to look for things that to make you different than me. Yeah. Whereas if the bars are there, it is come one, come all. Right. As long as you respect the culture, which I think what it comes down to. Well, that's the other thing. Also, Eminem doesn't use the N-word.
Right.
And Drake does, right? I mean, I guess that's also a huge.
So I guess, I mean, to give Kendrick the benefit of the doubt, if you talk about, let's take race out of it, just talk about socioeconomic experience.
Yes. Which I think is a large part of it. Yeah.
Right. So if you say that if you aren't below this line and you use the term affectionately, whatever, there's a cultural history with it. If you grew up in a way that it wasn't part of your everyday life and you start using it, I have a problem with
Yeah.
it.
And I think that's what he's saying.
Regardless of skin color.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, I mean, we could do 5 hours on this.
I know.
But
there'll be college courses written about this.
Yeah.
For sure.
But what I love is that it's a return, even for Kendrick. I was losing interest in Kendrick because I felt like he was getting maybe, and again, who am I, but just the part of hip hop that I love and the part of Kendrick that I love is this. It's just bars.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Just less
creativity.
Right. Less art school.
Okay.
And more
street.
So you're
hip hop. You like Damn more than
exactly
To Pimp a Butterfly.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Or good kid, Mad City, maybe. Okay.
I like all that stuff.
They're all good.
It's just, but the Mr. Morale stuff, and when it gets more, and to be honest, Damn was 50-50 to me.
Okay.
I think there were tracks that were just straight up, like I love DNA.
Yeah.
But I'm not criticizing him as an artist. He needs to fucking do stuff differently.
Absolutely.
And grow.
Absolutely.
I was just less interested in it.
Sure.
Because I love when people with these incredible God-given skills just let it rip with those skills. Right.
Yeah.
So,
I can see that.
But just to see him go back, back to the beginning, pen and paper, and just fucking eviscerating someone that, again, I don't know Drake personally, of course, but everything I've seen does seem, it just feels cheesy and fake and unauthentic.
Pretty cringy.
And it's rare in music these days. I feel like that the good guy wins.
Yeah, I agree with that. That in a way, even though this wasn't an artistic statement in like capital A art, that the artist wins. That the thing that, right?
The guy who takes the music seriously wins.
Yeah.
Which is so rare.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I can't recall of any other instances where it happens.
And I hope that the Travis Scott, and by the way, some of the things like that Drake was saying, as if it wasn't bad enough, where, like he's bringing up guys he's like, oh, you're not top three. Here's all these guys that are better than you. And he talks about like 21 Savage and Travis Scott. Like, Get the fuck up.
Out of here.
Shut up. Like, it's just, but I wonder if he believes it. Oh, that was my other, a good chunk of the last part of Not Like Us is Kendrick basically saying Drake, when he says, you're not a colleague, you're a colonizer.
Right.
That like, he's basically trying to buy street cred.
Right.
And he's kind of using, the Atlanta scene as an ATM.
Yeah, he
make money.
Brings these guys in and then drops them immediately. Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. But one thing I do want to say is that, okay, so I agree with you. And to me, these songs, they're not very good. Okay,
Not Like Us is catchy.
It's catchy.
Yeah.
They serve their purpose and they do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But Kendrick's flow on a couple of them, he's so all over the place. And from a structural standpoint, there's virtually no choruses in a lot of these songs because that's not the point. It's not supposed to be catchy and danceable. It's just supposed to be an attack.
Right. The rumor is he had 19 minutes straight of material.
Okay.
And he broke it up into these songs.
Okay. So there's that. So they're like, as far as putting on a song, like except for the one you're talking about that sounds like a club hit,
right?
Like I don't ever see myself playing them again,
right?
So that part, whereas like I think Hit 'Em Up, like the Tupac song about Biggie, which was fucking again an evisceration and all about like I fucked your wife and all this stuff. That was that was rough. That was a fucking banger. Like that you can listen to again. So
or like No Vaseline,
right? Holy shit, that was rough too.
Yeah.
Okay, so. And just because of the nature of what this is, Kendrick's vocals are way too high in the mix on his songs. They're sitting 10 miles above the tracks because you want to hear every single word, right? He's enunciating way more than he normally would, slowing things down rather than not a lot of his cool rapid fire shit, right? Because
but I think on Meet the Grams, it works. I like the effect of he seems lethargic. It's so nasty. Like he doesn't need to raise his voice. Like I'm going to sit here and quietly and calmly tell you you're a piece of shit.
Okay. All right. I get that.
But no, you're right. And I think that is, it's endemic to the way music is consumed these days. Like you can have You can have a thought.
Yeah.
And that thought can be a song that's released 24 hours later.
That's true.
In the days of, hit 'em up, it's like the soonest the public's going to get this is months from now.
Right. Right. That's true.
So I think it is like Liquid literally said, go sit down and go, hold on.
Right.
Right. And go get a drum machine and bang it out and upload it.
Right. And you've seen the with J. Cole pulling his down, like you can also just you can regret it and immediately say, and like erase it from the internet, essentially.
So I think you're right. They don't have repeatability other than Not Like Us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they aren't even really songs. They're more messages.
They're more messages. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have their moment in the zeitgeist, but other than as historical reference, you wouldn't put it in a playlist, maybe.
No, I don't think so. And out of fairness, because I've criticized Taylor Swift in the past about this, that I don't, and Kanye too. Okay. So to be totally fair, I've said, like, basically word for word, if I need to know all of this other shit in people's personal lives, like the fact that Taylor Swift dated Maddie Healy from the 1975, or this song is about this person, and Kanye's this song's about Kim, and if I have to know all that, then it's about celebrity and it's pop, and I'm not that interested in it. So to say that for me to be so into this, which I've been pretty into, I think you've been like really revved up about it, which I can totally appreciate, which I think is awesome. But I think I checked myself a little bit at the end. I'm like, I don't actually kind of like, I like it because it's hip hop and it appeals to this long history of just what we said earlier, this braggadocious, I'm better than you type stuff. But I don't need to know, like, I'm not like a Real Housewives, like gossip type shit person. So then the final thing that sort of bothered me about it, and I read this one take on it, which was really interesting. And I'll tell a little like a personal story about this. So this is quote in this article where they're talking about, like, one of the issues is that what's left in the wake of all this shit. Well, you've got listeners who now think Drake is a pedophile and may think Kendrick is beats his partner, and you can't unthink that, right? And that's the power of this music and how big of a stage it has, is that you can't not think of that anymore, right? Which is, I mean, that again, like you said, that might be damage that cannot be undone. But then you also think about, like, I know this is going to sound very bleeding heart liberal, and I'm fine with that. But if he's a pedophile, that means kids are getting sexually abused. And we're just talking about it, and we're sort of making, I don't know if we're making fun of him for doing that, but there's a part about it that's like, it's a little icky. Right. It shouldn't be part of a victory. Right. Right. And the fact that you shouldn't be proud of yourself that you told the world that Kendrick beats up his partner. Like that's not great for her. Right. Because if it is true, now everyone knows who she is. They're calling each other by their names. Right. She's going to walk around going like, oh, she's like, may be like, I didn't want to talk about it, or it's not even true. Yeah. I don't know. It feels yucky. And that's what I was looking for here is, they're talking about the critical reception, and it says, however, some outlets were qualified. It basically says everyone thinks Kendrick won. Yeah, sure. But it says some outlets were qualified in their assessments, such as Alphonse Pierre of Pitchfork, who called Lamar's victory Pyrrhic. Okay. He's like, okay, you won, but at what cost? At what cost? Right. Yeah. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Right. No. Yeah. But that's, again, so the very interesting, where do we go from here is, let's say that, okay, so the music is done. We haven't heard from Kendrick. We probably won't. Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, so let's say that the beefs are, for now, at least done. Yeah. Now what? One of two things is true, and there can't be a third option. Yeah. Drake is a pedophile. Okay. And I think it's one of those, I mean, again, it's not like there's degrees of pedophilia. Yeah. But the type that maybe grooms and hits on teenage girls. Sure. Okay. So either he is or he isn't. If he is, that's a problem for Drake. Yeah. Legally, financially, morally, professionally. Yeah. Right. Yeah. If he's not, that's a big problem for Kendrick. Sure it is. You came out there. I mean, this is libel lawsuits. This is one of the two. I don't know that both careers can go forward. Yeah. One of the two has to, this is like deathmatch. Well, and speaking of, we'd be remiss in not mentioning the fact that someone showed up at Drake's house. I got a theory on that. Yeah. I think it's a plant. I think it's a stage. I think
It was to change the news cycle from getting clowned.
Okay.
It was
to make it Biggie Tupac and like somebody's going to get killed and you shouldn't be talking about this.
I think the whole, again, I have no fucking evidence of this. The timing is Drake's house sits perfectly unmolested and unheard of for decades.
Right.
And all of a sudden it's like, I think it was to change the discussion.
Okay.
That's my theory.
To back it up, we may end up cutting this, but I said I was going to tell like a personal story about the victims part of it. We're from Metro Detroit area, right? Born in Detroit, raised in the suburbs. But many of you watching who are from Michigan or from the Detroit area or may remember Kwame Kilpatrick, the former mayor of Detroit, right? Who got in all sorts of trouble for all sorts of things, right? Yeah. And there was, when he was, before he went down, before he actually got the sentence and all that kind of stuff, a lot of people were coming after him. He was a punchline in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And there was a sort of, especially in Detroit, there's an inescapable race part of that.
Oh, yeah.
Because
suburb versus city.
You got to get into the whole history. We're not going to get into the whole history of that, right? Yeah. But you can look it up and look at the race riots and all that kind of stuff and white flight and all that stuff, the way that Michigan is set up now. But I saw there was a post on Facebook that was like, somebody flew one of those planes with a banner behind it after he got arrested. And it said, Kwame, don't drop the soap.
Yeah, I remember that.
You remember it? Mm-hmm. And then the local DJ said, Mojo in the Morning came out and said, we did that. We paid for it. And we flew it over like a Tigers game or something. And I thought about it for a minute. I'm like, okay. And I don't know where I was headspace wise. And this is got to be 10, 15. I don't know how long ago this is.
Oh, jeez.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I feel like I wasn't in tune with this kind of stuff at that point. But I remember going, dude's like making fun of prison rape.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's like, that's not cool in any sort of way. Like, so you're wishing a violent sexual act upon the mayor of Detroit?
And it's not funny to begin with.
It's not funny to begin with.
Not in a moralistic way, but in a humor way.
Yeah.
It's just not funny. It's the kind of thing that unfunny 70-year-old guys say to each other.
Exactly. And white guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And that whole side of it too, where prisons are predominantly, right? Like the proportions of black men that go as opposed to white guys. Yeah. Anyway. So I commented, I'm like, I think this is super shitty. And I never comment, especially publicly on it's on the Mojo in the Morning page. I'm like, I actually think this is shitty. I don't think it's ever cool to talk about prison rape. It's not funny.
Yeah.
Get over yourself. I actually had a couple people come after me in the comments, which is like, take a fucking joke. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Take a joke. Take a bad joke. Take a joke in poor taste. But the whole point was like, you can be mad that Kwame Kilpatrick took contracts, right? That was his whole thing. He was giving contracts to his buddies rather than going through a fair process, right? And just enriching his friends. You could be mad about that. And you can talk about that. It had damage on the city of Detroit and it cost jobs and that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Be pissed off about that. But to wish physical harm on somebody, so that's what it made me. That's immediately when they were talking about pedophilia and beating I'm like, I wish we wouldn't have really gotten into that.
Well, so true. At least with Drake, it's indirect, right?
Yes.
Like it's not. Well, when I say indirect, I mean let me put a spin on it this way. Let's say it's true, and let's say this stops it.
Well, good point.
Right. If he is grooming and statutory raping 16-year-old girls, if it stops now because of this,
right?
Net positive.
Sure.
So
okay.
So I agree. Celebrating these acts is never a feel-good moment because there's a victim.
There's real victims. Yeah.
Right. So I totally get that.
Yeah.
So I guess if you give Kendrick the benefit of the doubt and say I want to say a service, but it is shedding light on a problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, was that his motivation? No. He wanted to crucify the guy.
That's exactly right.
But and you're right. It's hard. It kind of takes some of the fun out of it to remember that if it's true, there's a handful of young women somewhere who had the most traumatic thing of their life happen to them, and now they have to hear it on the radio every 5 minutes.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of messed up.
No, I agree with that.
But anyway, I agree with you on your take that this would be great if this is a turning point in hip hop where people start caring about what they have to say and it's less about background, because at least even Drake was saying shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, even if it wasn't great, at least he was saying something, and it's not something that's meant to be played in the background at a party. That it's like the vote, how important lyrics are in hip hop, that they're out front and people are paying attention.
Yeah.
The irony being that first track that kind of started it all, that Kendrick was on, the Future Metro Boomin one, got like, I'm like, how is Kendrick on that track?
Yeah.
Future, again, come at us in the comments. Future's fucking and Metro Boomin's, joke. Like, that's your peer group.
Yeah.
Like, I think we need to be some more like stratification of like who can actually do this.
Whenever you see that, I always wonder too about the politics, the money behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
someone owes someone a favor and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, another unfounded theory I have.
Okay.
Is that, now I'm not saying K-Dot couldn't do this on his own at all.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it wouldn't surprise me. Kendrick associated with Dre, with Eminem, with all. Wouldn't surprise me if once word in their camp got out, we're going after Drake. Anyone who had a good idea for a good bar,
maybe
was like, hey, how about this?
Maybe.
It just wouldn't surprise me if like maybe some guys like text them like, you got to include.
Yeah, I'll
this.
get in on this. If you're doing it, I'll get in on
if
it.
you're doing it, I got something.
That'd be pretty great.
Oh well, no, but if it would be great if somewhere there's a young aspiring artist who has been listening to mostly, let's for the sake of simplicity say, the fake hip hop, pop hip hop, whatever.
Yeah.
And this maybe makes them turn a corner and be like, you know what? I think this is better. I'm going to go do something like this.
Yeah.
I hope so, because, and honestly, you know, if I really look in the mirror and be like, why am I so happy about this? It's just because, you know, we just did the hip hop episode a couple seasons ago about like, well, it's pretty much dead, right? Mainstream wise.
Right.
Obviously the art form, just like rock and country, it always goes underground, you know?
Yeah.
But for it to be in the mainstream again is great. And again, it's rare that we get a W.
It is.
As music fans, where, you know, this would be akin to Jason Isbell, you know, taking out Jason Aldean.
Right.
Right. And but it's not going to happen because there's, not going to.
Well, there's reasons. Yeah, for sure.
So it's nice when it happens.
Yeah, for sure.
And, you know, we'll see what the fallout's going to be. There's going to be fallout.
Very curious. And the ripples.
Yes.
Right. Across hip hop and music in general.
At least one other beef is going to come out of this.
You would think
someone's going to try to defend Drake or
absolutely.
And
thinking it's easy streams.
Right.
Probably.
Exactly.
Right? We can capitalize
Maybe
on this.
we should do.
Jesus. No one's asking for that.
No. We have our own problems in the comments as it is.
Yes, we do. The 3 we get aren't always great.
Yeah.
What's the deal? Extended family.
Yeah.
Hook us up.
Yeah, if nothing else, could you comment just to like dilute the shitty comments we get? That would be great.
Speaking of comments, please let us know what you think of the episode. Please give us a like and subscribe. Let us know, you know, what you think about the whole situation. Is this a net positive? Is it net negative? What are some of your favorite beefs of all time? We didn't even get into like beefs outside of hip hop.
Big fan of ribeye.
Oh, you like ribeye?
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. The ironic thing, of course, I don't eat meat.
That's
this
true.
whole episode's been about beef, and I'm wearing an Arby's t-shirt.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't give a fuck.
There's layers to the extended play podcast. He doesn't give zero fucks.
We didn't get into like rock beefs, like the whole Blur Oasis and like inner. We didn't even get into all
inter band beefs like Fleetwood Mac,
right? Or like Oasis, right?
Yeah,
and all that kind of shit.
No.
So let us know what some of your favorite beefs are and what you think about the whole.
And maybe we'll come back. And I mean, it's always been a catalyst for music.
Absolutely.
So maybe we'll come back to another one next season.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.